Theory of evolution by natural selection. The theory of evolution by natural selection, first articulated by Charles Darwin in his seminal work, On the Origin of Species, fundamentally changed our understanding of life on Earth. It posits that all species of organisms arise and develop through natural selection, which increases the individual's ability to compete, survive, and reproduce. Essentially, organisms that are better adapted to their environment tend to survive and produce more offspring. For instance, consider a population of insects that live in an area where the terrain has a mix of dark and light rocks. If birds predominate in the region, they are more likely to see and eat insects that contrast with the background rocks. Over time, insects that naturally camouflage better with their environment will survive to reproduce. Their offspring, inheriting similar traits, continue this cycle, gradually leading to a predominance of color traits that enhance survival. This process of gradual change, driven by natural selection of advantageous traits, explains the diversity of life forms and their adaptation to specific ecological niches. It's an ongoing, dynamic process as environments and ecosystems themselves evolve and change, continuously influencing the evolutionary path of the species within them. Cell theory. Cell theory is a cornerstone of biological sciences, first coherently formulated in the mid-19th century by scientists Matthias Schleiden, Theodor Schwann, and Rudolf Virchow. This theory provides three critical assertions: all living organisms are composed of one or more cells, the cell is the basic unit of life, and all new cells arise from existing cells. The implications of cell theory are profound because it means that the cell is the fundamental building block of all plants and animals, and by extension, all life processes are cellular processes. Cells not only make up the organism but also carry out the functions necessary for survival, such as nutrient uptake, energy conversion, waste removal, and reproduction through cell division. Understanding cells has enabled significant medical advances, such as the development of vaccines, antibiotics, and new techniques for cancer treatment. Research into cellular processes continues to be at the forefront of scientific inquiry, addressing complex problems from aging and disease to the regeneration and synthetic creation of tissues.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more topics you love.
Gene theory. Central to modern biology, the gene theory describes how traits are passed from parents to offspring through genes, which are specific sequences of DNA that code for proteins. The proteins expressed by genes determine an organism's physical traits and are the basis for its bodily functions and behaviors. This theory expands on the work of Gregor Mendel, who discovered predictable patterns in the way traits are inherited in pea plants. We now understand genes operate within a complex network of genetic regulation, influenced by multiple genes and environmental conditions, which can affect gene expression and lead to a vast range of possible traits. Modern genetic research has led to revolutionary developments, including genetically modified organisms, GMOs, that produce higher yields or require fewer resources, and gene therapy, which aims to treat or prevent diseases by modifying the genes in an individual's cells. Germ theory of disease. The germ theory of disease asserts that specific microscopic organisms are responsible for specific diseases, a concept that became widely accepted in the late 19th century through the work of scientists like Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch. This theory has been pivotal in developing the practices of modern medicine, including sterilization, vaccination, and antibiotics, which have dramatically increased human life expectancy. Understanding that diseases were caused by microorganisms led to improved hygiene, public health measures, and medical procedures that prevent the spread of infections. It has also facilitated the development of treatments that target pathogens without harming the host, a principle that remains fundamental in the treatment of infectious diseases today. Endosymbiotic Theory. Proposed by Lynn Margulis in the 1960s, the endosymbiotic theory suggests that several key organelles of eukaryotes, such as mitochondria and chloroplasts, originated as symbiotic unions of separate single-celled organisms. According to this theory, an ancestral eukaryotic cell engulfed a prokaryotic organism, which then formed a symbiotic relationship within the host cell, eventually evolving into a permanent, dependent organelle. This theory explains the presence of two membranes around these organelles and their own DNA, which is distinct from the nuclear DNA of the cells in which they reside. This insight has profound implications for our understanding of cellular evolution and the complex relationships that define life at the microscopic level. Theory of inheritance. Building on the experiments of Gregor Mendel, the theory of inheritance explains how traits are transmitted from parents to offspring through discrete units known as genes. Mendel's meticulous breeding of pea plants revealed patterns of inheritance for various traits and led him to formulate laws of inheritance that describe how these traits are passed down through generations. This theory laid the groundwork for the field of genetics, allowing scientists to predict the distribution of inherited traits, and has applications in medicine, agriculture, and conservation. By understanding inheritance, researchers can trace the lineage and predict the occurrence of genetic traits, paving the way for the development of genetic counseling and personalized medicine, which tailor medical treatments to an individual's genetic profile. Biogenetic Law. The Biogenetic Law, proposed by Ernst Haeckel in the 19th century, presents a captivating idea: the development of an organism, ontogeny, reflects its species' evolutionary history, phylogeny. Essentially, Haeckel suggested that as an embryo develops, it passes through stages that mimic the forms of its evolutionary ancestors. For instance, human embryos briefly exhibit gill slit-like structures similar to fish, reflecting our distant aquatic past before evolving into the complex structures that define our respiratory system. While modern biology recognizes that Haeckel's law is an oversimplification, it's now known that embryonic development does not precisely recapitulate phylogeny. The concept has been influential. It has spurred further research into developmental biology and evolutionary development, evo-devo, which explores how the processes that drive development influence evolutionary changes. This theory underscores the deep connections between an organism's development and its evolutionary background, highlighting how genetic and environmental factors interplay to shape the life history of organisms. Homeostasis Theory. Proposed by Walter Cannon in the early 20th century, the homeostasis theory describes how living organisms maintain stable internal conditions despite external environmental fluctuations. This concept is fundamental to understanding how biological systems remain balanced. For example, humans maintain a body temperature of approximately 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, regardless of whether they are in a colder or warmer environment. This regulation is crucial because vital biochemical processes occur within narrow temperature ranges. Homeostasis covers various systems in the body, including temperature regulation, pH balance, and glucose levels, each controlled by complex feedback mechanisms. When these systems detect a deviation from the set point, they activate responses to bring the condition back to its normal range. This ability to maintain internal stability enables organisms to survive in diverse environments and is a key factor in the evolution of species. Understanding homeostasis not only illuminates how organisms function but also has practical implications in medicine, such as understanding diseases like diabetes, which involves the disruption of glucose homeostasis. Ecological Theory of Evolution. The ecological theory of evolution is an umbrella term for theories that emphasize the role of ecological factors in driving the evolutionary processes of species. This perspective considers how interactions with the environment and other species influence an organism's survival and reproduction. For instance, the shape of a bird's beak can evolve over generations to better access food sources in its habitat, a concept famously illustrated by Darwin's finches in the Galapagos Islands. This theory integrates the dynamics of competition, predation, mutualism, and environmental changes, showing how these factors can lead to diversification and speciation, where new species emerge. It emphasizes that evolution is not just a matter of genetic inheritance but also a response to ecological contexts, which can rapidly shift evolutionary trajectories. By studying these interactions, scientists gain insights into the adaptability and resilience of species, informing conservation strategies and our understanding of the natural world's complexity. RNA World Hypothesis. The RNA World Hypothesis suggests a revolutionary idea in the field of evolutionary biology. Before DNA and proteins became the primary molecules for genetic information and biological functions, early life forms relied on RNA. According to this hypothesis, RNA molecules, capable of storing genetic information and catalyzing chemical reactions similar to enzymes, played a dual role in early life forms. This theory is supported by the discovery of ribozymes, RNA molecules that can catalyze their own chemical reactions without proteins. This finding suggests that RNA could have both replicated itself and facilitated metabolic reactions in early life forms, making it a plausible precursor to the DNA and protein-based life we see today. Exploring the RNA World Hypothesis helps scientists understand the origins of life and the transition to the complex cellular machinery that characterizes all known life, offering profound insights into biology's molecular foundations. Neutral theory of molecular evolution. Proposed by Matu Kimura in the 1960s, the neutral theory of molecular evolution challenges the traditional view that natural selection is the dominant force in evolutionary change. Instead, Kimura suggested that most changes in DNA at the molecular level occur because of genetic drift, a random process, and are neutral regarding their effect on an organism's fitness. This theory implies that the vast majority of genetic mutations neither benefit nor harm the organism but accumulate over time due to random chance. This perspective has significantly influenced our understanding of evolutionary genetics, suggesting that the genetic diversity seen within and between species is often not a result of adaptive changes but of random, neutral changes. The neutral theory has reshaped evolutionary studies, highlighting the importance of stochastic processes in shaping genetic variation. Kin selection theory. Kin selection theory, introduced by W. D. Hamilton, offers a compelling explanation for the evolution of social behaviors that seem, at first, to reduce an individual's chance of survival or reproduction. The theory posits that genes promoting behaviors that support the survival and reproductive success of relatives can be favored by natural selection, even if they are costly to the individual exhibiting them. This is because relatives share genes, and by helping a sibling or offspring survive, an individual indirectly ensures the propagation of genes they share. This mechanism underlies behaviors such as altruism among animals, where, for example, a bee dies defending its hive, or a bird risks its safety by making alarm calls to warn kin of predators. Kin selection theory has profound implications for understanding complex social behaviors across species. It helps explain why certain cooperative behaviors are more prevalent among closely related individuals and has applications in fields ranging from evolutionary biology and psychology to social sciences, shedding light on the genetic underpinnings of social and familial interactions. Punctuated equilibrium. Punctuated equilibrium, a theory introduced by Stephen Jay Gould and Niles Eldredge in 1972, challenges the traditional view of slow, steady evolutionary change. Instead, it suggests that species often experience long periods of little to no evolutionary change, stasis, punctuated by brief, intense periods of rapid evolution due to significant environmental changes or mutations. This pattern resembles an equilibrium that is punctuated by sudden shifts. This theory arose from observations in the fossil record where species appear to remain stable for millions of years, only to be replaced suddenly by significantly different forms. The concept of punctuated equilibrium highlights the role of sudden environmental shifts, like changes in climate, habitat, or the introduction of new competitors, that can create pressures leading to rapid adaptations or the emergence of new species. Understanding this model helps explain the uneven and sometimes abrupt nature of the evolutionary history recorded in fossils. It also suggests that while gradualism, slow and steady evolution, can occur, the dynamic and episodic nature of life's history plays a crucial role in shaping biodiversity. This insight has profound implications for evolutionary biology, paleontology, and our understanding of the natural mechanisms driving species evolution. Group selection theory. Group selection theory posits that natural selection, the process by which traits become more or less common based on their impact on survival and reproduction, can operate not only at the individual level but also among groups. According to this theory, behaviors and traits that might be disadvantageous for an individual but beneficial for the group can evolve because they enhance the survival and reproductive success of the group as a whole. For instance, in some species, individuals may sacrifice their own reproductive opportunities or even their lives to benefit their group. This could happen in social insects like bees, where most individuals do not reproduce but instead work to support their colony. If groups with such self-sacrificing individuals outcompete other groups, the genes associated with these altruistic behaviors can spread. Group selection theory has been controversial and debated among biologists, mainly because it can be challenging to demonstrate that selection at the group level can override the more direct selection acting on individuals. However, it offers a framework for understanding the evolution of complex social behaviors and the conditions under which cooperation and altruism might arise and be maintained in biological populations.